Hello, welcome back to BlenderSushi Live Noding. In this video, I'm going to explore this kind of setup. It's just an idea. It's a proposal of an idea. Maybe kind of a way we can use Blender dynamic paints to do attribute transferring. I do this quite a lot with a vertex wave, and kind of a way for me to kind of a trigger to pass data value from one object to another object. You will see. I'll show you the demo real quick. So this is currently you have the cubes that's floating. I set it up so that when this brush touch that it gets near them, it's gonna start to become active, and so Blender dynamic and what do you call it, rigid body dynamics start to take over, and then that's how we can set up the triggering. I can maybe just paint the top, and then they're gonna fall, but the bottom still stay, and then gonna continue with the rest. Sometimes there's a little bit of hiccup where the value doesn't reach certain value, it doesn't trigger. But this is a kind of the thing I want to talk about. In software like Houdini, basically they can do this, even though it's not simple, it's still a pretty complex idea. So I think in Houdini, points and primitive or polygon, or basically points, can store any kind of attributes, not just objects. We know that in Blender also an object can have like a custom attribute, so any kind of custom attribute, and the attributes can be a data value of float, integer, or maybe string, I don't know. So an object can do that, but the points cannot store value apart from its position. I think particles, normally in a bigger scene, particles is the one that can store value attributes of any kind of data. So that's what makes a lot of 3D package powerful, like Maya and Houdini. So I haven't looked into that, but anyway, I'll try to do something similar in Blender. Just kind of a way to link up points and kind of storing a data that we can transfer. Okay, let's have a look. If I cannot do this within 1 hour, maybe I'll already show you the concept. So I will start with Sverchok. So I'll use Sverchok. Let's create a plane. Let's save this. This is might be complex, but maybe not as complex as you might think. Point attribute trigger. This is more like triggering. So if we have a plane and we have fewer object, fewer draw, we know that we can create a bunch of points. Okay, the idea here is to, in Sverchok I will create a setup, just a simple setup, boxes arranged in that kind of position structure or template. So we know we have the vertices. We're gonna use the vertices actually at some point. Now we want to create a box. We have another fewer draw. Actually, I just create Bmesh MK2 right away, and I will make my own name. This is gonna be box. It's not gonna be merged. It's gonna be separate, each box, and we're gonna group it. Plug in this guy and that guy, and for the positions we use the matrix in. This is the transform, so we just do this. Very simple, and that's pretty much done. They are connected to each other. Maybe I just make the box a little bit smaller. Okay, this one is done. Normally I don't touch this anymore. I just maybe turn off updating, and now we can see this is box, and each one is named properly, and they're also grouped into a group called box because I specified here. I'll save, and then the next thing I will do is to generate the points to represent each of the box. So for the points, I will use another of this guy, BMS MK2, and this is gonna be the trigger points. So I call it trigger. This one we're gonna merge it. We're not gonna group it. Just plug this one to that guy and then update. And now we have a points. This point should be representing the box, but currently there is no relations whatsoever between those two, except for one thing. Their index number should be the same. So it's the order that's important here. Now the next thing I will do is we know this is the trigger, so I'll save it. I'll put it in a different layer for now. I will turn this guy into an active object. Rigid body tools here. Just add I think add passive, or actually add active. They're gonna be an active rigid body, and I will have a plane. The plane is gonna be the passive rigid body. It's just for collision. This is just an example. It doesn't need to be dynamics, but this is just the simplest things to do. So you know they're dynamics, but they're all falling at the same time. None of them are triggered. They just happen. What I want to do is actually to turn this guy on and off on commands, right? So this rigid body have this toggle, dynamic or non-dynamic. This toggle is the one that I want to trigger. So if I make it passive, it won't be dynamics. Okay. In order to trigger all those, I want to bring this guy. I will actually use animation nodes for that, because animation nodes is super handy for that kind of thing. We can, first of all, we're gonna bring the guys in, object from group, and then the next thing we want to do is to, maybe I'll show you a quick one. It's how we can turn on and off the attribute of these objects. So I'm gonna, for each and every object, it's the dynamic I want to work on. So this guy, just right click and copy data path and paste it here. Say rigid body enabled, value has wrong type. It's actually as simple as using boolean input, plug in there, and now we can turn that off. So now they are all off. If I turn it on, it's gonna be on, and I can turn on and off on command basically. But that's for every single of the objects. We want to be able to trigger it on command. I might actually have done something similar in the past, but I want to do it again. This is probably simpler. Yeah, the way we do it is using these points. Oh, let's work on this first. This point is gonna be our trigger. The way we do it is using dynamic pane. I'll just turn on dynamic pane and then turn this guy into canvas, and then turn on weighting and turn on this vertex weighting. So it's the data is stored. So this guy is now a dynamic pane canvas. Now let's switch to cube and turn this cube into wire. This cube is going to be our dynamic pane brush. And turn on mesh volume and proximity. This is important. Otherwise, mesh volume is not always very accurate. Use a proximity, so when the object is getting closer, it starts to give a value and trigger something. And something we're gonna trigger, first of all I'm gonna set the origin to geometry. So I center this guy. I cannot tell the reason why, but just do that, because if the pivot point is at the center, this point at the 0, 0, 0 will not work, will not being displaced. The idea is to use displacement here and use the vertex weighting from dynamic pad, and then here I will use ramp, blend ramp. The color is ramp on, and then turn on this guy. Just turn all on to 1. And by doing that, we can have we should have this kind of effect when if I get rid of this, and then you can see it's the effects of this. Hopefully the points in the middle also being pushed, we'll see. So you see the effects there. Exactly what I expect. The point in the middle doesn't work, which is pretty funny. We have to move the pivot somewhere else. So really, I just drag it up. That's probably better, because now the trigger system works for every single point. Can you see it? If you cannot, I will turn on the different color for the background. Display world background. It's probably clearer. See, as the brush passes to the dynamic pane canvas, this object moves. So that's the whole idea for our trigger system. So bring this into layer 1. This guy is gonna be our trigger, and so back to animation nodes. Inside animation nodes, we're gonna set up this trigger system first. It's simple but slightly complex. Object data path, mesh data, get mesh data. Okay, not that one. Object mesh data. So we're gonna use 2 of these, and again I'll source the trigger. One of them gonna have the trigger use modifier on, the other one use modifier off. And I will simply get the difference between the two, the distance difference, because by default, of course, the distance difference is gonna be 0, 0, 0, but as the brush passes through, all the points gonna be triggered and the value goes up. Make sure this is 0. Okay. Vector list and another vector list for the loop. This is a vector A and a vector B. A being the positions at the default, B being position being pushed. It's really that simple. At least for this. The concept should be simple enough for you to understand. And let's investigate it here in the loop. Here's something that I quite like about animation nodes. You can pipe in multiple things to see the data. And the data is live, and you can look at it here. I might need to turn on always. So now it's yeah, we can see the data. But it has this BPY structure, object, blah, blah, blah. We don't need that, so we just want the object transform attribute output, and then grab this to there. We just want the name, plug in this guy, so we just, oh, actually, not object attribute output. It's object attribute input. Sorry about that. Just want the name. Okay, so we have all the name, and then they seem to be in order because they're under 100. So it's okay in this case. I don't need to kind of rename what I wish we can do in Sverchok is the name to the digit to be like 001, 002, 003. So when we sort it by name, we can have a better control. For this, is actually this gonna work fine. Okay, the name's out. Okay, what I want to know is the distance. Okay, so distance, vector distance between the original points and the end point, and I plug this into the debug loop once again. Now we started to see some things like in Houdini where we can see the attributes. Okay, as we move the brush in, you can see that these guys start to have effects, and this is quite live. And what I like about this setup is that maybe I turn on the numbering. Okay, we can see the name of the box that might be triggered, and then we can see the value that's changing, and then this value should be triggering our system. So the strength should be 1 maximum. So now see, as the brush comes in, the value goes up. Sometimes it goes up to 1, but it's not always. It's because dynamic pane increases as the brush moves, basically. But anyway, we want to make a system where if the distance of these points bigger, reaching certain number, it should trigger the rigid body. So the boolean should be 1. So I will create a formula or expression here. The expression should look at the distance. Plug this guy in. So now if the distance x is bigger than 0.5, give a result. And for the result, I want to also pipe into the debug loop. See, it's say false, 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 false. We want it that when it goes higher than 5, it's become true. Higher than 0.5, it's become true. And when it's true, if it's gonna trigger the dynamic. So I'll put that in there, and I think we have the complete system. It's actually that simple. If I hide this, it's gonna be a little bit faster. So let's do that real quick. Yeah, do it like this, and I will get our 3D view back. Hopefully if everything works as planned, when I turn on this guy, so our system should be working now. It's monitoring, and if the brush pushing. The relations of the points and the objects currently it's a bit wrong. It's not working as expected because the numbering is probably wrong. The sorting of the points and the sorting of the objects are not the same. So that's why it failed to work. That's one thing. And our dynamic is currently a bit short. So I will increase the dynamics cache. Make it 1500. Same with the dynamic paint. We need to also increase the cache. Where is it? Here you go. Cache. Where is the dynamic paint? This guy, 1500. And our frame number also 1500. So the sorting is wrong. Let's go back to the compositing. Node editor. This should be thin. Anyway, the box sorting, I will try to sort it by name. Okay, so apparently sorting it by name is also, it's pretty bad thing actually. This is actually better, 0 to 24. Sorting by name is not a good idea. I'll just use reverse list, probably it's gonna work in this case. So I'm reversing the list. This seems to work because the objects is being sorted properly now, and yeah, okay, that's pretty much. I'm pretty happy. This is actually how it should work. This is perfect, and we can have more objects or less objects. I'm glad that the sorting is actually pretty clever here, instead of doing it sorting by name. Let's see. Let me think. We can, at this stage it's pretty much done, but I wanna do a little bit more. Before I do that, I summarize what's happening here. Blender Dynamic Paints is kind of a system where we can have a brush and a canvas, in which the brush, you can have like a multiple brush, and the brush can kind of pass in a value into the canvas. So that's kind of the idea about this. And in this example, I trigger the rigid body dynamics using the value distance. Okay, that's the whole idea. And then we sort the points, we sort the boxes and everything. You can actually have other things, not just the distance of points, but this can be triggering of anything. So if you have like an attribute, as long the attributes is in the list, they can be sorted and they can be linked this way. So if we go back to Sverchok and do a little bit more, so grid box is okay, it's simple, but it's pretty boring. Maybe 3D grid is more interesting. Let's cut all this. Back to our plane. Animation nodes turn off. It's a bit slow at the moment. Back to Sverchok. We have 5x5 planes, and then let's have the viewer draw. Okay, that's what we got. If we use matrix apply, plug in the vector there and apply a matrix where the matrix is just maybe line. Plug this into there. Hopefully we have something that's like a 3D volume cube. Because the line is going that way to the side, we want it to go up. So I always do this vector out and vector in. There you go. It's kind of what I want. So we have definitely more cube. Make it 10, 5 by 5 by 10, 250 points. Okay, so that's a lot of points. We cannot manually animate it. Now we want to use these points for our thingy. First of all, I will want to use this point as our template for cloning. Plug this one there, plug this one there, plug this there, plug that there. This might not work. Let's see. If I update it, see, it doesn't seem to work. I'll name this cubes. I should actually delete the box first. Select pattern, select pattern, and type in box. Start. I'll just select the box like this. Select group box, delete. Now we have cube. The cube we want to okay, it's already grouped. It seems like it's not duplicating the cubes as I wanted. It's only generating the first grid. Here's the tricky thing. We need to list join it. List join level 2 or rapid. One of these. Screw draw. Application matrix apply, and then I might need to use a mesh join. Not mesh join, it's apply matrix, and then we have matrix in. Maybe I'll open my own example, dynamic trigger. Dynamic triggers 4 maybe. Sverchok didn't save the node 3. Make volume box. I should have turned on this guy. This one is important. It says list join and matrix apply. List join level 2. Yeah, this seems to work. File, save as, join level 2, and then this is interesting. Didn't actually work as I expected. This should basically generate the points for our cubes. It seems to work with the points. What are those points? Oh, those points are from here. This guy is still not happy. It's location 10. Maybe I need to separate it. No. That's weird. If I use object mesh mk2, viewer mesh mk2, if I plug this into there and this guy to there, doesn't seem to like it. Sim agent containing 2 to 4 numeric. Weird, because it works on the other one. Let's join. So let's see if I bake this instead. Now I have these points. They are all separate. That's why I need to probably join them. Probably join them as dots. Let's join. Maybe I'll use list join there and use a vertex vector in there. Apply matrix to mesh. Vertices matrix. So weird. Maybe I shouldn't do it that way. Forget about the Sverchok thing. Let's do it differently. So we have this is always the thing with live noding. Sometimes it fails. We can have a cube of our own, and I will make points based on these cube positions. I can make this smaller, make this bigger. Just three cubes, and let's see if this works. Back to Sverchok. We can still need to use Sverchok to do to get the bounding box, to get the point position of each box. Check this. Matrix apply. Get the center position. We use the bounding box. This is one thing I know is gonna work. Mesh. Get the center of each point. It's gonna be our trigger, or just 3. We should have something here in the center. We haven't selected the objects. Get selection, and then we have this points in the center. We need to merge it. So this is our trigger, the points. Okay, we got it. We don't need Sverchok now. That's our trigger, and then we have to make the trigger, turn it into the canvas for dynamic paint. We probably delete the other setup. It's okay, we're gonna quickly make this guy to the weight. Turn this on, and for this guy should be, oh, it's already working. This is gonna be displaced using the same texture. This 0, strength 1, dynamic main weight, and let's take it out. Should be at frame 0. Okay, it seems to be working. Okay, good. See the dots moving. See the dots moving. Yep. Now let's grab this guy and bring it to animation nodes. Just group it. Control G. Get our group. This guy should be active rigid body. they fall, which is not a good sign. Get our trigger object. Check again. It still fall. What's going on? Maybe our object is not loaded properly. What's the name of our group? Rigid body world group. Let's see our trigger system. Because animation nodes is not working. Turn on animation nodes, and now it should be working. Back to 000. Check it out. As we bring our brush close, we're gonna trigger the dynamic. This guy didn't work. Okay, it works. Yeah, that's kind of the setup that I want to show you. Basically, the thing here is probably the hardest part is to make the points. Actually, no, the points is easy to make if you use Sverchok. You can have as many objects as you want, and there should be like a separated objects. And basically, you want to create a points. Okay, an objects, and let me turn off animation nodes. And objects, or many objects, you want to create a points here using Sverchok, and that point is for triggering our triggering system. Okay, you can have as many as you want because they're gonna be the canvas of the dynamic paint, and then you have the brush that you can just paint. The animator can paint the point as the brush get closer to the points. They're gonna be triggering something, and that something in this case is the rigid body dynamics. Yeah, I guess that's the whole concept. You can perhaps have other attributes that you associate with the points, and you can trigger it somewhat, trigger other things like, okay, make this red, or make this blue, make this yellow as it gets closer, or makes this a certain color. So that's basically it. Not the most easiest to teach or to to show, to demonstrate, but sorry about the hiccup with Sverchok. It's I don't know, it's I just want to make like a 3D points template, It works at some point. I don't know why, maybe I did wrong. Yeah, but the rest of what I show it seems to be working. So hopefully this is useful for you. If you have any comments, just leave it down below. You can like the video and then subscribe, and then I'll make more video. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.